Hello dear students, this is Madhurima Mees. In my today's video, I am going to explain to you this short story, The Model Millionaire, written by Oscar Wilde, and the story is included in the new syllabus of ICSE board for the students of class 9. Throughout this story, the author is trying to convey this message that we should not judge a person by their outward look. Outward look of a person can be very deceptive. If we try to judge a person by what dress they are wearing or how they look, we are making fool of ourselves. If we do that, we are basically making fool of ourselves, because there is a saying also in English that we should not judge a book by its cover. So similarly, if we cannot judge a book by its cover, that means until or unless you read the book, you won't understand whether the book is good or not, whether it is worthy of reading or not, worthy of buying or not. The cover may be attractive, but the story may not be good. On the opposite side, the cover may be dull, maybe not catchy, but the story may be good. Similarly, when it comes to a human being, we must not judge that human being by that person's outward look. It can be very deceptive at times. So the story Model Millionaire, written by Oscar Wilde, the name itself contains the hint that millionaire person can be a role model for you. The word model can be seen from two different angles. One, the story is about the model who was millionaire. Other way, that millionaire person with whom we are going to get acquainted throughout the entire course of the story, that millionaire person may be a role model, may be the example to be imitated by us. Now let us come to the story. Unless one is wealthy, there is no use in being a charming fellow. So until or unless you are a wealthy person, there is no use for you in being a charming person. Charm is important, it's really important, but until or unless you have earned enough wealth, your charm is not going to help you in your life. Romance is the privilege of the rich, not the profession of the unemployed. So nothing is free in this world. The poet is giving us a very practical look of the reality that romance is also not free. It is the privilege of the rich. Why? Because in order to indulge in romance, you must have that mental stability, financial stability, without which you won't be able to spend that much time that you are supposed to spend in order to maintain a relationship. So it is the privilege of the rich, but not the profession of the unemployed. If you are unemployed, you will constantly remain worried about what to do next, how to earn your living. And if you are worried about how to earn your living, how are you going to get indulged in romance? That's what Oscar Wilde is pointing out. He is giving us a very practical view of the real world, real gloomy world. Real world is not filled with fairies. It is really dark and gloomy. And that is why he's saying here that it is the privilege, romance is the privilege of rich people, but not the profession of somebody who is unemployed. The poor should be practical and prosaic. If you have to change your fate, your financial condition, if you have to rise in position, you must be practical. So especially a poor person cannot afford to be to live in an imaginary world or in a dreamy world. A poor person must be practical, must be prosaic. There is no place for rhyme in his life. There is no place for poems in his life. If you are poor, you are worried about what to eat next day or what to eat today, how to earn your living, then how can you indulge yourself in poetry or in any so-called form of art? In order to be able to indulge in art, in romance, In order to love flowers, understand the natural beauty, you must have that financial stability so that you can have the mental stability, because both are correlated. If you are constantly worried about your life, if you are constantly thinking about what to earn, how to live, how to maintain a lifestyle, then definitely there is no place for poems in your life. So as a poor person, in order to earn his living, the poor person must be practical and prosaic. It is better to have permanent income than to be fascinating. So one can have a very charming personality, a very fascinating, intimidating personality, very attractive personality, but none of that will be of any use if that person has no permanent income. That is the very practical view of life that we are getting presented by Oscar Wilde at the very beginning of this poem, of this short story, sorry. These are the great truths of modern life. These are the great truths of modern life which Hughie Erskine never realized. We are getting introduced to a character here, to one of the main character here, Hughie Erskine, and he never realized this basic truth of the life, these great truths of the modern life. Why modern? Because in modern life, we know, in order to earn our living, in order to live a healthy life, we need to have a certain amount of wealth, because in modern world nothing is free. Poor Hughie, intellectually we must admit he was not of much importance. Means he was not a very intellectual fellow. He never said a brilliant or even an ill-natured thing in his life. So basically, he was neither an intellectual person nor a stupid person. He was a mediocre person. But then he was wonderfully good looking, with his crisp brown hair, his clear-cut profile, and his grey eyes. So how he looks, that description is given here in this portion, the portion that I have marked on the screen. Okay, so he was not at all an intellectual person, neither was he an intellectual person, nor was he a very poor, very stupid person, a dull person, but a mediocre person. But the quality that he possessed, that he inherited by genes, that he was wonderfully good looking, with crisp brown hair, his clear-cut profile, and he had grey eyes. He was as popular with men as he was with women. That means he had that amiable personality, that he could, he earned that amiable personality. He possessed that amiable personality which made him popular among both men and women. Okay, he was popular among men and women, and he had every accomplishment except that of money making. So he had everything, every quality that a person might possess or needs to possess. He had all those qualities, all those accomplishments, but he lacked one quality. What is that quality? He didn't know how to make money. His father had bequeathed him his cavalry sword and a history book, History of the Peninsular War, in 15 volumes. So what he inherited from his father, what was handed down to him, by his father, one thing is the cavalry sword. Cavalry is the word that is referred to those soldiers who fought wars riding on horseback. Okay, cavalry soldiers. So they had the sword that was called cavalry sword. So maybe definitely his father was in army and he possessed that cavalry sword, and that was handed down to him. That was the one thing. What was the second thing that he inherited from his father? It was a history book. A book that contained the history of Peninsular War, and the book was in 15 volumes. The book had 15 volumes. So these are the two things that this character Hughie Erskine inherited from his father. Hughie hung the first over his looking glass and put the second on a shelf row between Ruff's Guide and Bailey's magazine, and lived on 200 a year that an old aunt allowed him. So how what he has done with the two things that he inherited from his father? His father bequeathed him these two things. What he did with these two things? First one, he hung over his looking glass. And the second one, that was the book that had 15 volumes, the history book of Peninsular War. That was the second thing referred here. He kept it on a shelf. Between Ruff's Guide and Bailey's magazine. So there are two things, and between those two books, he kept the book that was given to him by his father, and lived on 200 a year. So he was getting 200 per year, not even per month. He was earning 200 a year. How was he earning? By working? No. It was his old aunt. The old aunt may not have a son or a daughter to inherit her earnings. Maybe that is why, or maybe she took pity on Hughie Erskine. Maybe that is why she was allowing him this 200 a year. Per year he was getting 200. Per year he was getting 200 from his old aunt. Okay. He had tried everything. Now this is a very important thing here. We are told by Oscar Wilde that Hughie is not good at making money. But does that mean he is a lazy person? No, he tried everything. He left no stone unturned. He tried everything. He had gone on the stock exchange for 6 months. So for 6 months, he worked in stock exchange companies. But what was a butterfly to do among bulls and bears? Bulls and bears are the terms commonly used in the stock exchange market. Bulls are the investors and bears are the people selling the share. Okay. Bulls refers to the person or the persons who are investing. Okay. Investors are called bulls, and bears means here bears refers to, in the stock market, bears refers to those people who sell the stock, who sell the share. Okay. Now the Oscar Wilde is saying that how a butterfly is referred to the character Hughie. Okay, so butterfly, how can a butterfly manage among bulls and bears? So definitely he couldn't make out his way in that business. He had been a tea merchant for a little longer, but had soon tired of Picot and Sochang. Picot and Sochang, these are two brands of the tea merchant companies. So basically he failed to gain success in this business as a tea merchant also. So he failed here also. Then he had tried selling dry sherry. Sherry is a kind of a wine that is made in Spain. Okay, that did not answer. Means again he failed here. The sherry was a little too dry. Basically he failed in this business also. Ultimately he became nothing, a delightful, ineffectual young man with a perfect profile and no profession. So ultimately what became of him? Hughie turned into a person, a young man with a perfect profile to do all kind of jobs, but ultimately remained without any profession, ultimately remained jobless, unemployed. So it was not that he didn't have the skills or the profile that required, but he failed everywhere. He could not earn success in any of these businesses. To make matters worse, he was in love. So not only he was suffering from financial instability, now he was in love. The girl he loved was Laura Martin, the daughter of a retired colonel who had lost his temper and his digestion in India and had never found either of them again. So basically, the name of the girl with whom Hughie had fallen in love was Laura Martin, and Laura Martin was the daughter of a retired colonel. Okay, retired colonel, and the retired colonel must have had his career in India, and in India he has lost his temper and his digestion. So he was suffering from, he was maybe an ill-tempered person. He was suffering from indigestion issues. So basically he lost temper and digestion both in India and he never got them back. Still, Laura adored him. Every daughter would love her father no matter what kind of a person that father is. Father can be an ill-tempered person, but still a father is a father for a daughter. So Laura adored him. Adored means loved him. And he was ready to kiss her shoestrings. They were the handsomest couple in India. Laura and Hughie were the handsomest couple in India, in London, and had not a penny piece between them. So in order to live their life, start their new life together, they needed some wealth, but that wealth was not there in between them. And hence, despite being the handsomest couple in London, they still remained unmarried. The colonel was very fond of Hughie but would not hear of any engagement. Definitely, as a father, he wanted his son-in-law to have a steady profession, to have a wealth based on which they can start a new life. So that is why even when the colonel was fond of Hughie, we all know that Hughie had a very amiable personality. That's why he was popular among both men and women. So the colonel was also impressed by Hughie. But there is one thing that he didn't like, that his son-in-law or would-be son-in-law or the character Hughie was out of profession, was jobless, was unemployed, and definitely that was the reason that Cornell never agreed for any engagement. He would not hear anything about the engagement. So I am keeping the story till here to know what happens in Hughie's life and how he is going to meet that model millionaire who is going to be a model for Hughie, model for us, and how that model, that term, plays very important. The word model, the character of the model plays important role in this story. In order to know that, you have to follow my videos, and I'm going to explain these stories part by part, line by line, word for word, to make it less complicated for you, to make it easily comprehensible for you. And if you like my videos, don't forget to share it among your friends and do subscribe my channel. Thank you for watching my videos and follow the next videos to know what happens in the story.